So, I'm here in a storage. Oh wow, look at all this. Looking at a bunch of Thek works. Thek was born, 53 years minus 1987 or 8 when he died. He died of AIDS in the 80s, and he's one of my favorite artists. He's most famous, most people know him for these sculptures he made with fragments of meat, what looked like flesh or a cross-section of a body part. And they were oftentimes enclosed in vitrines of plexi. He was critiquing or commenting upon minimalism and this cold kind of, the pieces were known as technological reliquaries. And these were kind of had religious connotations, like a reliquary. Let's flip this sucker. And, can you see me? This is no microphone, no computer, old school telephone. I'm in Switzerland in art storage looking at a group of works. They're not mine. I wish they were all mine, but they're not. And Thek was commenting on the lack of humanism in art, in manufactured art, in fabricated art, and the vulnerability and fragility of the flesh, and our removal from it, or lack of a kind of visceral, lack of touch, lack of feeling with your own body and the bodies around us. He also was one hell of a damn good painter. And here we have a cross-section of, there's the Empire State Building. So he's from Pennsylvania, and he lived in New York City. He had a rent-controlled apartment, but he spent much of his professional life abroad, in Panza, in Italy. He visited the catacombs in Palermo, where he probably got the idea for his, when there are corpses mummified. Look at these exquisite paintings. This is an artist who could draw, who could paint, who did so almost making a ritual out of the act of work. His work ethic was insane and formidable. These are landscapes, probably in Italy, in Panza. He made these paintings that he referred to himself as shitty, bad paintings he was reacting to when he came back from Italy and came back to New York. This looks like a Van Gogh painting, or drawing, I should say. Thek, 1970. And these are paintings that he made when he came back from Italy. (1988), right before he died. It's so crude. Thek came back from Italy in the 80s to an art world that had been transformed, and rather than technique and skill, there was a de-skilling in art. So Thek purposefully made art that he referred to as bad art. This is a good example of a pretty rudimentary painting of very crude hands with lots of strange, indeterminate pencil marks in the composition. And then you contrast it with, he made these paintings on newspapers. He went from making these very fragile, precious, oh, here we go. This is I don't know why the lights are freaking out on this phone camera. This is a schematic architectural rendering of one of the technological reliquaries. mean, this is an architectural rendering. There are these lines for perspective, perspectival lines to make this precise schematic drawing. And you can see a column and a column of yellow plexi, and there would be a representation of the meat. I used to own this sculpture and kill myself for having sold it, for being broke yet again. And this was Rundfahrt Odilon, 1913, for Gregory. I wonder what happened to Gregory, and why he got rid of this drawing. This is actually mine, and so is this dinosaur. God, these pieces are exquisite. I could spend all day here. 1, 2, 3, 4 picture light paintings. So here's a little children's chair, and these paintings were hung at the height of a child. This is one of my very favorites. Number 13. In the most beautiful painterly fashion. The surface. Exquisite. 13, an unlucky number dealing with, and look at this, referencing old masters and the way they had these little plaques depicting the author, the artist, in this kind of old master's fashion, old master, with this throwaway plastic label. This is a fucking extraordinary painting. The lap of luxury with these rather plump thighs. Again, this kind of, look at this pubic region. I sound like Sister Wendy. Paul Thek lived in Italy in an age when there was no social media. So after becoming famous, showing at Pace Gallery in 1964 with his meat sculptures, he went AWOL, moved to Europe, and he was out of sight, out of mind. Out of sight, out of mind, minus that Long Island accent. And he lived a life as almost an expat. Look at these, they're just exquisitely beautiful, so classical for such a contemporary artist. These are all in the set of kind of watercolor landscapes, beach scenes of this ethereal figure running. God, these things are beautiful. I haven't seen them in so long. 1987. Birds on the shoreline. You could practically hear the waves crashing. The color and the touch. Intimacy. You could see this is almost a near abstraction, and yet it's a perfect depiction. With this faint ghost-like figure on the lower right-hand portion. Back to earlier work. This kind of prehistoric dinosaur figure. This is not signed or dated. But you could see the newspaper. Oh, it looks to be upside down. 1971. grapes. 1974, hammer and sickle. This is a rather erratic signature, 1975. Another hammer and sickle. This one is not signed. Herald Tribune, so he's painting on newspapers. He went from making these precious sculptures that he himself considered as being too precious, and then to painting on newspapers throughout his entire life, one of the least regarded non-archival throwaway surfaces and materials. These bunnies going up a stairway. This is one of my all-time favorites. The mind as a clitoris. The clitoris, I don't have one, but meant to be among the most sensitive parts of the anatomy of a female anatomy. 1982, New York Times, so he's back in New York, making bad paintings. None of the articulated imagery of those earlier works. Latin America, backwards text with the bunny and the biblical references to these endlessly reproducing rabbits. Look at this. Oh, what a beautiful drawing of a mushroom and some flowers and vines. 1969. This one unsigned. God, I love Paul Thek's work. He had a rent stabilized apartment in the East Village. He often painted on the roof in these, look at this little teeny weeny canvas from Seaside with figures, 1975. Little teeny, such care and thoughtfulness. Here's the World Trade Center, and you could see the crane on top of the building as the trade centers were being finished at the time this painting was made. There's a Liberty Bell on top. Can you even hear me? God knows how the sound is. Now this is something exquisite. This is a sketchbook. There's a self-portrait. I don't know why this light is flickering like that. That sucks. 1969. Dated on his face. Nose studies. I mean, this could be. There's another. Dated in the same place, 1969. This is December 31st. So it's New Year's Eve and Paul Thek is making these academic sketches and studies. Also from the same date, on the dawn of the 70s. And yet again, 3 stages of this self-portrait. And there we go again. Wow, that's beautiful. This flickering light. Molehill. And what's that saying, the cliche, like you're making a, I gotta look it up, mole out of a molehill. I'm not very composed today. What else is new? I flew to Switzerland and had a lecture yesterday. There was a screaming baby on the plane and a big snoring man, and I didn't get much sleep at all. There's another self-portrait man. I wish I could draw like that. Look at that. God, this I love drawings. They're so intimate. To be so close to the hand of this artist whose work I've cherished for decades, 35 years. Since the start of my career, there was an amazing retrospective that started at the Wit de Wit in Rotterdam called The Wonderful World That Almost Was. God, if Paul Thek was only still alive. Look at this. Fuck, it's beautiful. Little stains on the paper. You could almost feel his hand, his presence. It's breathtaking, taking my breath away. And yet the eyes are so unarticulated. And this pencil mark. The intensity. Another one piece of, wasn't it just a piece of fruit like that 3 pages ago? Exactly the same. That's one. Another one. Just, so we're still, look at that, fucking hell. Crucifixion on a cross with a star. December 31st, most of us are not sitting there on our sketchbooks. God, I feel so unproductive. He once wrote, "There's nothing but time." What does that mean? You have a lot of time, or time is all there is? He famously taught at Cooper Union, Portrait of the Artist Nude. And what do we have? A clock. This rendering of a windmill. It could be an ashtray. Or a matchbox. What is it? Portrait of the artist, but there's no artist nude. It's the artist nude in the metaphorical sense of we're just exposed. Portrait of the artist's wife nude with a hand. Inside the mind, literally, of Paul Thek. The thrill is outside the womb. Thorn Festival. Putty. The way is paved with silly putty. Will you help and protect me? May I help and protect you? Portrait of the artist's friend's nude. The Dostoevsky elephant. Midst the something of paradise. Did ever promenade upon his toes? Though his skin was light and pearly and his mother loved him dearly, he just couldn't pass, his nose. Will you help and protect me? May I help and protect you? A portrait of the artist's friend nude. Another portrait. This whole book is a self-portrait. It's like inside, seized by joy, back soon. Like a sign in a shop and you've gone for lunch, mushroom. January 1st, 1970. It's like ticks of a clock. You could literally feel him passing the time. With this sketchbook, another rendering of a mushroom. God, fuck, these are so cool. There's cows at rest. That looks like Rembrandt to me. There's also this kind of moral issue. We have here this incredible preserved sketchbook from 1969 and 1970. Handles block. The cover is scotch taped together. So the cover's been torn and taped, whether by Paul or someone else. I see some pages have been removed. So what do you do with a sketchbook? In this form, I think I bought this 30 fucking years ago or whatever. You can't see the pages of a sketchbook when it's in repose. Do you take it apart and frame them, and that way you can live with them and enjoy them? Somebody's ripped some pages out of here. I wouldn't be the first. Is there something about the preservation of a sketchbook? I'm of a certain mind that a sketchbook should be preserved as a sketchbook. He certainly ripped out pages during his life and framed them. So if he wanted to do that, he would do that. No? No. He's dead. There's a little mushroom. So, you could get a conservator to take apart the book. Seized by sorrow. Oh, this is my fucking favorite. Oh my God, I want this hanging in next to my desk, and I could look at it every day. Save strength. Use weakness as a way to people, not strength. This is like the anti-political rhetoric, the anti-political mantra, the anti-political, anti-Trump way. Use weakness as a way to people, not strength. It's a way of moving, but then it says it's a worry of moving. The trouble with tricks is after. I feel lonely and full. Learn how to break the ice. Long time. Chinese grace. Coming and going. It's no rose garden. It's a rose. I won't cry, but keep laughing. I want to cry, but keep laughing. It's kind of how I feel right now. Probably how you're going to feel after watching me ramble on in the storage facility, looking at mushroom drawings in a flickering light for some odd reason. Portrait of the artist lover nude. It's kind of a Chinese figure. Lots of studies, yeah, because there's a kind of porcelain, the dove. When doves cry. Look at this beautiful, oh my God, it's breathtaking. God makes you just pause. Look at the hair. It's like Bernini sculpture. Pulsating light. You could see the flesh of this image. A fuller life, richer, more rewarding friends. Use weakness. I just love that idea of stop blustering around, angry and forceful. Use weakness. And the figure is peeing. God, I just want to touch it, be inside these pages. Don't sneeze on the sketchbook, Kenny. I am happy when efficient. This is really his whole way of life, how he lived his life, working. I am happy when efficient, when working, when drawing, when painting. Efficient at what? At producing. I enjoy full use of my power when I drain it. God, shit. I enjoy full use of my power when I drain it. I'm going to get a tattoo of that mushroom and use weakness. How can I drain my power in order to better enjoy it? Shut up. Now that's a message for me. Shut up. God, I could learn from that. The Bible was destroyed in 3 days. I was turned into a pillow of salt. He always has these biblical references. The Bible was destroyed in 3 days, and it's like a subway sign in New York. I was changed into a pillow of salt. Oh, these words. He made his students fill out this crazy questionnaire that's become world famous at Cooper Union when he taught there, and they were the most intimate personal and far-reaching questions that he would subject his students to. These days, you would be fired for even proposing such a thing would be considered preposterous. Just hold on, you're going for a ride. Love from a newborn plagiarist. The holy feeling is to use, not calm, instant saint. The holy feeling is tense, the holy feeling is tense, not calm. I don't want to go sit on any mountain. I have my own. Besides, I like people. Not yet, anyway. Indication of intent to abdicate in error. Oh, look at this. This brings back so many memories. We're all crying children together. Ain't that the truth? I'm not interested in efficiency. Data, super data. Fall in love with your life. Show-offs, Chicken Little. Damn, this is a masterpiece. In the most, a mushroom. We're all crying children together with these little dwarf figures. I'm not interested in efficiency. Fall in love with your life. Don't be philosophically incapable of action. Oh my God. I just want to put this in my suitcase and go home. I am no longer myself. I am now what I was not before, with a tea kettle. I am no longer myself. I am now what I am not before. My heart, my mind, my heart. It is 27 and a half square, and I have to saw it off. That will be a something job, peaceful, screaming and tortured. There are millions of people inside of me, one of whom is an ape. Look at this backwards writing, it's so cool. My heart, my mind, my heart, my mind, my heart, my mind. My heart, my mind for Rachel. My heart, my mind. It's this dichotomy. Oh my God, look at this. Fucking hell. My heart, my mind. My heart, my mind. They're like two sides of the self. One is intuitive, impulsive, carnal, sexual, and the mind is rational. Looks like he's drawing naked in this torso with his penis. His hand on a pad. Damn. I don't even think I'm an artist anymore looking at this. God, I feel like nothing before. Such an artist. Look at the graphite of the pencil. It's so wrought, so heavily. God Almighty. I don't know what it is, but I don't really care. Just the detail. What I need is what all people need, passionate communication. I need one of these pastries. Do I break up the sketchbook and frame them and break it apart? I don't know if I have the heart to do that. Look at that. You could just feel the time he spent with this. It really is a kind of God. It's like he's here in these pages, at my fingertips. His foot is anyway. his toes. Little hairs. If there was ever an intimate portrait, appease Apollo, appease the gods by holding a pencil and it says Apollo 13 with a bullet and a question mark and an explosion. Apollo 13. What the hell does that say? UITGESTE. Can't even read that. I'll have to think about that. I suppose my hand feels like shaking. Yes, I suppose it does. The spooks have got me in their wings. I keep forgetting my angel. This way gets cold and damp. There is no thing that does not torment me, and I dream of learning myself. To be a snake is the way to freedom, but even snakehood eludes me. Snakehood, the shining... God, my fucking accent is so embarrassing. Snakehood. The shining freedom of the dance leaves the green glade and, like mission bells at dawning, threads ever upon the oceans of earth. Earth, where is the sting? Where is thy sting evermore? If 7 of the daughters were sinners, how many of them breathed deeply? To enter upon water, remove spots. God, I wish I had 100 of these. What a way to spend time. Sometimes my life is so fantastic. Please humor me and let me go through this sketchbook again. Look at the lines in this. Molehill. Make a mountain out of a molehill. Molehill. I want to get to that. Portrait of the artist. Seized by joy. Back soon. Look at this. You have to handle these pages so delicately, although it doesn't seem as though I'm doing that. Look, there we go. Save strength. Use weakness as a way to people, not strength. Sorry for taking you through another fast trip, a fuller life, richer, more rewarding friends. God, I love these. Here we go. We're all crying children together. I'm not interested in efficiency. I could relate to that. Okay. God, touching. The lap of luxury, it's just like literalizing this cliche of living in the lap of luxury. Paul Thek never was interested in living in the lap of luxury. For him, luxury was this: work, drawing, painting, writing, producing. He saw God in fruits of his labor. So simple. Think of how much time I waste in my life. Well, I should just be working, writing. God, that's exquisite. Silence. Okay. That should do it for this rambling ass video. Ciao, ciao.